When my wife, Emily, walked into the living room that afternoon, she looked nervous but strangely happy. Her hands were trembling as she held her phone, and I could see that she was trying hard to find the right words. We'd been married for 7 years, long enough to notice when something was off. She took a deep breath and said softly, "The doctor called. I have some news. I'm expecting." The words hung in the air like a sudden echo. My first reaction wasn't joy, it was confusion. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her correctly. My heart raced, not from excitement, but from something much deeper, a quiet, uneasy shock that I couldn't hide. "Emily," I said carefully, that's strange. I haven't been able to have children since 2020. My voice trembled as the reality of what I'd just said sank in. It wasn't an accusation, it was a fact, one she already knew. The color drained from her face. For a moment, she didn't move. Her eyes widened, and the silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Finally, she whispered, "Wait, what do you mean?" I rubbed my temples. "We've talked about this before. The doctors confirmed it years ago. You said you understood, and we agreed that if we ever wanted a family, we'd look at other ways." My words came out slowly, carefully. I didn't want to sound harsh, even though my chest felt tight. She sat down, staring at the floor, her hands clutching each other. I don't understand," she said in a faint voice. "Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor mixed something up." Her voice cracked as she spoke. I wanted to believe that. I truly did. But something in her tone, a quiet, nervous tremor, made my stomach twist. Still, I couldn't jump to conclusions. Love, after all, had to start with trust, even when trust felt like standing in the dark. Over the next few days, I tried to stay calm. We agreed to get a second opinion. She went for another test, and I waited, days that felt like years. Every time the phone rang, my heart jumped. I wasn't angry, I was scared that the life I thought was real might not be. When she came home with the results, she was crying before she even spoke. She handed me an envelope and said quietly, "It was a false reading. I'm not actually, you know. The first test was wrong." I sat there, stunned, as relief and exhaustion washed over me at once. She looked at me with tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to scare you. I should have waited to tell you until I was sure." I nodded slowly, the weight on my chest finally easing. "It's okay," I said quietly. We both panicked. "But Emily, I need you to promise me something. Next time, let's face things together, no matter how confusing or frightening they are." She nodded, still crying, and hugged me tightly. For a long moment, we stayed like that, two people who had been shaken, but not broken. Sometimes it's not the big arguments that test a marriage, but the quiet moments of uncertainty, when you have to choose whether to hold on or walk away. In the end, we didn't just mend a misunderstanding, we rebuilt our honesty. We talked about fears, about our dreams of family, about how life sometimes surprises us in painful ways before showing us peace. Months later, when I looked back on that day, I realized something important. Trust isn't about never being tested, it's about standing strong when everything feels uncertain. That one afternoon taught us that love doesn't survive because it's perfect, but because it forgives, learns, and continues, even when the truth shakes it to its core.